Good morning, people. Welcome to the Pulse. Welcome to the Beacon. What's going on, everyone? I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is enjoying this blessed Wednesday, 13th of May. You know what I'm saying? We'll never get another Wednesday, 13th of May, 2026 again, man. So I hope everyone's blessed and I hope everyone utilizes it well. Today, I wanted to talk about investment in Africa, man. I feel like for decades now, there's always been that conversation about colonialism being done, African states getting independence, but we still have to be mindful of the threat of neo-colonialism, right? We have to now be mindful of what's happening in the East, Far East. I'm talking China, Japan, India to some degree. You know what I'm saying? But it's always been that thing of these former colonial masters still being present and stuff, right? So I want us to kind of discuss this for a bit. And I want us to actually move away from just having a conversation of, okay, cool, this is what they're doing. This is what France is doing. This is what Britain is doing. And saying, okay, cool, if they don't do it, then who's going to do it? And when I say what is the it I'm talking about investment, yeah? Because we know people invest in things. Why? Because they want to get some sort of return, right? That's what you do with your capital, right? It's anything that you deploy into a particular thing to get some sort of returns, right? To get a future outcome. That's capital, right? And that's what people do. You deploy your capital into various things. And I'm speaking about this because yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, Macron announced to the world $27 billion will be invested across the continent of Africa. I've got a video that I want to play. Brent will play that in a second. There's a lot of music to it. I believe it's Al Jazeera on their Instagrams. If you want to follow them as well, if you want to, go into their platform, we probably get a bit more information as well about that specifically, right? But I say all that just to say there's some music around it, so I'm gonna have to read certain things that's on the actual Instagram clip, so that everyone can be on the same page with regards to this topic. But I can't see the chat, but everyone, I hope you're welcome. Sorry, everyone, you are welcome to join the chat. You are welcome to join the chat. And of course, you're more than welcome to join the conversation, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear people's voices. I want people to call up. You know what I'm saying? You can join the Discord. You know what I'm saying? Big up Josh in the chat. Big up Josh. Every single time he's going to be on TDA tomorrow. But you can also call up as well. 0203 87 87 87 0. 0203 87 87 87 0. It's not on the screen, but it's gone. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. At the moment, guys, pardon me. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be just a Discord. It's going to be just a Discord. But still, join the conversation, man. Join the conversation, because we need to talk about this. Because I know, obviously, when a lot of us hear stuff like this, European nations are doing things in Africa. They're striking deals and doing things of that nature. We get upset. But we don't look at the alternative, innit? We don't look at the alternative. Of course, we can blame the African leaders. They're not doing their job, of course, 100%. But what are we doing? If we become disillusioned with these African leaders, what are we doing? Do we feel like we have a role? Is there space for us to do certain things? Or is this just out of our remit? So I want to hear you lot chime in on this particular topic, man. Big up Davina from Brum. You know what I'm saying? Every single time, day one TDA listener and supporter. You know what I'm saying? Again, join the chat. Call up the Discord. Let's get into this. I'm thinking, Ben, how many people are thinking? Just so I'm thinking potentially leaving the video just for a tiny sec, just so that more people can watch it. You know what I'm saying? As people start to join the conversation. Okay, cool. Let's share the video, people. Let's like the video, please. Let's get this out there, man. Because, again, this is a topic that I don't want us to miss in it. And I don't want it to just be me that's giving my views and my perspective on this. I want to hear you guys' opinions on this, and I want us to challenge ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that's what community does, or at least that's what community should do. You know what I'm saying? We all need to be invested in the overall betterment of as many people in the community as possible. We'll differ on the ways to achieve that, but I think that should be the aim of everyone. You know what I'm saying? We should be on the same page. But essentially, this is a topic that's been triggered by France's $27 billion investment push into Africa, right? We're going to get into the video shortly. But I want to ask you guys, do you guys trust France's intentions? Maybe that's a silly question, but it's still a question that I need to ask. It's because typically when people invest, a lot of the time, you may not know about their agenda. You may not know about their intentions. You may not know about, what they're trying to gain from this. But money is money, right? Or no? You know what I'm saying? If there's certain things in place that prevent them from maybe taking over completely or to a degree that is not worth it, are you okay with France investing? Because if not, are we able, when I say we, I'm just talking about Africa as a whole, are we able to drum up this $27 billion to invest into sectors that our people would really benefit from on the ground today? Or are we going to complain? You understand? What are we doing? Each one teach one, but everyone has to put in their $1. You know what I'm saying? To some degree, surely. Or do we feel like that's just the job of a few or a certain group? That's the question I'm asking today, man. Again, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is well. I hope as we've got to the middle of the week, you've had a good week, a good start to the week, and I hope it gets even better, man. Gets even better. Big up Godders every single time in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Big him up every single time. Big up Oliver Bex. Big up Eddie as well. I bigged him up the other day. Again, Eddie's always in the chat, always in the Discord. You know what I'm saying? Joining us all the way from New York. You know what I'm saying? Joins us from 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. You know, that's like, what, 3 a.m. in New York, and he's still here with us. You know what I'm saying? So big him up every single time. Big up Temi as well. Make sure you tune into her show. I believe she's got a show tonight at 6 p.m. Am I right, Brent? 6 p.m. Annotated. No. What's going on then? All right, it doesn't. Let's stick to the thing. I'm trying to spread the good news. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to spread the good news so that everyone can recognize what's going on here at the Pulse, innit? Anyway, big up Mel as well. Big up Mel. Big up the whole community, man. Appreciate you lot. All right, Brent. When you're ready, let's play this video so that we can get into this topic and start to unpack this. So Emmanuel Macron is in Kenya. He's calling for a fundamental reset with how the relationship is between the West and Africa, right? And he's announced $27 billion of investment. Most of the money is going to go into energy, agriculture, digital tech, AI, through joint projects between France and African companies, right?
L'Afrique veut la paix, la prospérité, l'indépendance. Il est très puissant et c'est, si nous arrivons à le faire, ce qui nous permettra, au fond, de rebâtir ensemble un ordre multilatéral qui est tellement bousculé, qui nous fragilise, dont les dérives nous touchent d'ailleurs les uns et les autres, et au fond d'être une source d'avenir pour chacun.
Macron says Europe is no longer trying to take over African states. They want a partnership as equals, where the growth benefits both Africa and
Ce
Europe.
temps est largement passé. L'agenda européen a pour intérêt de vous voir réussir sur le plan de la prospérité et de la souveraineté, parce que c'est le même que le nôtre. C'est pas un agenda univoque d'une Europe qui regarderait.
All right, just in case, you know what I mean, like not all of us are, bilingual and that can speak French. You know what I'm saying? But just want to read it for those who are listening in and are not watching. Essentially, he's basically saying, he said the colonial era is done. He said it with a bit of a smirk on his face, right? But he said it's done. And now, like, we need to have a mutually beneficial relationship. And that's basically what it is he's saying, or at least he's trying to usher in, right? And this is his gesture, $27 billion. All right, Brent.
L'Afrique comme un continent qu'elle devrait aider. C'est celui d'un partenariat d'égal à égal, parce que vous aider à réussir, c'est la condition pour notre réussite.
And it is why we reiterate with clarity and conviction the urgent necessity of reforming global peace and security governance particularly the United Nations Security Council, a continent of nearly 1.5 billion people, continues to remain excluded from permanent representation on the Security Council.
France says the plan could create 250,000 jobs in France and in Africa. Trying to rebuild the influence of the West in Africa. Well, obviously, they have to contend with China, Russia. This is all strategic, guys. This is all strategic. Just in case you missed it, he was talking about there being like a mutually beneficial partnership between France and Africa. And it's about time we start that. And obviously, you've got the Kenyan president, William Ruto, basically seconding that, man. He's like, yo, it's that time, man, where we need this investment. And this is a good thing, essentially. Because if it wasn't a good thing, this conversation wouldn't be being had, in it. Like, this summit wouldn't have happened. So there's an agreement in place. You know what I'm saying? Again, Macron's calling for a fundamental reset. He's saying, listen, the things of the past, let's leave that behind. We're not the same people. It's done. Let's just conduct business going forward. This is a partnership. There's a contract here. We're not coming over with guns and taking over stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're not dragging your cheeks through the cities and things of that nature, trying to show that we are the more superior power. Right? This is different now. So the question is, do you guys agree? Do you feel like it's time for us to kind of put certain things in the past and trust France's intentions? Because they come with their big money, and it's money that evidently we don't have, right? I'm asking the question as well. Is this money that we don't have? I don't know. You tell me. I'm going to give you a figure shortly, because I remember I did a video on Freedom is Capital. Tune into Freedom is Capital. It's my YouTube channel. And I spoke about the diaspora sending $50 billion to Nigeria every single year. $50 billion every single year. Where's that money going, man? He's given half of that, by the way. He's given half of that for Africa. We, Africans, Nigerians, right, sending $50 billion to Nigeria every year. This is what happens. So I say that just as a bit of a comparison, as a reference point, yeah, for what's going on. Where this money is coming from and who can also potentially do this, yeah? Is this a genuine partnership, or is this a new version of influence? Is this just neocolonialism happening, and we're just too forgiving as African people? I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, right? If it is that China, because we know China's investing, we know China's investing. They've been doing the same. They've been doing a bunch of different things, right? Railways all over the continent, right? Zambia, Kenya, and even in the West, they've got a bit of a presence there in Ghana and in Nigeria. They've got a presence in South Africa. Like, we know the Chinese are moving to Africa. I'll never forget. I'm not too sure how many years ago this was. Definitely over 10 years ago. I think I read it in Forbes. Was it Forbes? I can't remember. It was one of these news publications where China said, Japan, hands off of Africa. That's our second home. This is what was said. China said this to Japan, hands off of Africa, that's ours. You understand? So I'm saying all these things so that we have a bit more context and we can make informed decisions. Mel says, nope, they must have a hidden agenda for sure. There's no way they can look at us as equals to them. But Mel, is that you maybe being stuck in the past? Are you maybe not being forgiven? Should you forgive and potentially be open to this investment, especially as it could potentially give us, when I say us, Africa and France, 250,000 new jobs. 250, that would do amazing things for the economy. 250,000 new jobs will be created from this investment. You know what I'm saying? But I mentioned China for a reason. China's investing. America's invested. We know America's invested. We know what they're doing over there. They're everywhere. The Gulf states, we know they've got a presence there. And if it is that they've got a presence there, is it such a bad thing or a big deal that France makes a move too? Because we're allowing other people to come in. Is it because they never took over Africa for hundreds of years? Is it different, or are we using the same standard? And if not, should we? You know what I'm saying? What is the situation? What is everyone's viewpoint? Because to me, I was just thinking about this, and I was thinking, just to give my viewpoint before we, open up again. I'm pretty sure you guys know. Anyway, to some degree, we'll be able to gauge. I don't trust France at all. I've said many times that I believe in terms of colonial powers, I believe that they probably were the worst in terms of what they did in Africa. And I say that a big part of the reason why I say that is because of what they still are doing. Because of what they're still doing. That's how I see it. The fact that Francophone countries still use the franc. The fact that they're still pegged to nonsense that's happening in Europe is insane to me. Completely insane to me. How are people going to be able to have their destiny in their hands, really, and be economically self-sufficient if we use a currency, right, that is pegged to something thousands of miles away that has completely different stimuluses in the economy? I produce rice here, but I can only sell it for this amount of price, for this price, or do this with it because it's pegged to that. And if I do it at a particular thing, a particular price, it's going to be affected in such a way that just doesn't make sense. It will cease to be a business for me. All of these things are not factored in. So everything is still linked. And then you still come to us and say to us, yo, we need to have a mutually beneficial relationship. What's mutually beneficial about that? What is it? You know what I'm saying? So again, we have to look at these things in detail. And that to me is one of the reasons why I say France to me was it might be the worst. It might be the worst colonial power. Because of what they still are doing, because of how the ties seem to be so linked to this day. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, it just disgusts me. It really disgusts me. Big up Goddess. He says, bro, I'm highly suspicious. And we need to see the full T's and C's. Last time I checked, many Africans colonized by France, thank you very much, still paying francs, yet they use euros. It's still pegged to a currency they don't even use. It's pegged to what's happening in Europe. They don't even use the franc anymore. Yet Francophone countries have to use this nonsensical currency that's just causing problems. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand how that can exist. To me, show me a gesture that you really care about Africans and you really want this to be a beneficial relationship where there is no master and there's no slave. There is no, you know what I'm saying, subordination. By removing that, by allowing these African countries to be totally independent, right? Totally independent. Let us back our currency with gold. Big up Captain Traore. I believe he made a move recently to do something similar with regards to backing the currency with gold. Again, the world has moved on, right? Since the 70s, I believe it was under Nixon when they actually took away the dollar being backed by gold. The world has changed. But because of the reputation of America, things still continued as normal. Essentially, I mean, there was obviously changes. You saw the stock market do what it did and whatnot. But there's still that upward trajectory. The biggest companies are still in America. But what's happening more and more is that we're seeing countries are saying this nonsense where it's backed by nothing and we can just print money at will is not something that can last. There's a reason why China is buying up gold. There's a reason why BRICS are focusing on gold and back BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That union there. There's a reason why they're focusing on these particular things because they do not believe this will continue. Or at least if something happens, they need to be fully in a position to take over and have something that's worthwhile that the rest of the world can rely upon. It can't just be a situation where we're just printing money out thin air. It can't be. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be mindful of all of this stuff. But I'm kind of going off on a bit of a tangent. But we need to be mindful, man. Big up Josh. He says fiat currency is soon done. There you go. There you go. You know what I'm saying? So we have to think about these things. And a lot of African nations are moving. Let me not say a lot of African nations, but there are people who operate within African nations more and more moving towards cryptocurrency. I remember we had TJ on the show a couple of weeks ago. Big up TJ every single time. Tune into the Subi Shop, SUBI, where amazing conversations every single day, new videos about African geopolitics and things of that nature. And he was talking about how when he first moved to Uganda, in order to be able to maneuver and send money, receive money, and do certain things, he was using cryptocurrency. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get around certain things and to be able to just maneuver, cryptocurrency facilitated that. And it was a huge benefit to him. You know? Goddard says, even if the T's and C's are good, I have questions about certain African leaders being compromised and or embellishing. You know what I'm saying? The money. I hear it 100%. We know a lot of these African leaders are compromised. They're 100% they are. 100%. And sometimes it might be a thing where we're a bit harsh because it's like, okay, cool. Can they really do anything? Kind of like any British prime minister, right? You may not necessarily use the word he's compromised or she's compromised, but we know that they kind of move to the drum that's played by America. You know what I'm saying? We know that relationship is there, right? So perhaps, is that the same sort of relationship in Africa, where some of these leaders are not fully compromised, but there is still something they have to do? They know the funding comes from abroad. You know what I'm saying? They're still relying on aid. All these things that prevent you from being fully self-sufficient. Just being a sovereign nation in name alone doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, you know? But anyway, again, my question is investment in Africa. If you have an issue with this, guys in the chat, people that's listening, if you have an issue with this, what are you doing to change it? Is it your responsibility? Is it our responsibility as black folk, as African people who are not Africans maybe, who still believe in the future of Africa and still, you know, I don't know, empathize with the plight of the everyday African? Is it our responsibility? Because what are we doing to invest and make Africa the powerhouse that it once was and can be? So I believe it was Monday we spoke about Aliko Dangote, who is, I think, the richest man in Africa. Sorry, richest man in Nigeria. Yeah, I think the richest man in Africa now. Either way, he's one of the richest men in the world. He's a billionaire, right? And, you know, he's got his refinery in Nigeria, which is thriving, it's doing well, and it's helped. You know what I'm saying? It's helped a lot of people get fuel since this nonsense that's happening in the Middle East, when Trump and his comrades started a war with Iran, and which has resulted in the Strait of Hormuz being fully, you know what I'm saying, regulated so that oil is not being passed through like it used to. You know what I'm saying? 20% of the world's oil was going through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. Every single day. Because of all this nonsense, the price per barrel shot up to well over $100 from like 70 or so. That's insane. It's inflated every single thing. Oh my days, this just came to me. It just reminded me of something. I saw someone on Instagram talking about, and again, this is why you need to invest, guys. I'm not saying gamble, so please don't conflate what I'm saying. And I'm saying this example only as a reference point to what investing can do for you. Not to say this is what you should do. So this is not financial advice, right? But there's somebody on Instagram who basically got into investing, I believe, around COVID times. Let's just say about 2020, them times there. And he, I believe, started with like 15K. He put 15K into Trading 212. And I'm assuming he has the money to maybe, I don't say to waste or to burn, but maybe saw it as, you know what, this money, if it goes, it goes. Or maybe I'm just in it for the long run, and so I don't mind if it looks like I'm about to lose this, but I'm going to put all of this in to oil. So this is what he's done, yeah. And since then, he's obviously investing bit by bit. And I think when I saw the brief breakdown, his total contributions were just under 50K. So from the 15K initial investment, yes, Oluwabex, 15K at once. That's brave. No, it's not brave. I mean, it is brave, but it's not brave. When you fully understand investing, you know that you're not gambling. That person fully understands investing. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, you're in it for the long run. It's not just for temporary, let me try and flip this and take my money out in 3 months. No. I always tell people, when it comes to investing, you're betting on the advancement of human civilization. If you don't believe human beings will be here in 5 years' time, don't invest. If you think we will be, if you still feel like there'll be companies, big companies growing and trading and doing what they're doing, then it's a no-brainer. Because that's what you are investing in, right? Anyway, he's put 15K in. He's regularly investing, right? Dollar cost averaging maybe. I'm not too sure about the story in between 2020 and now. But he posts and says, yo, I think I'm the youngest ISA millionaire. Why? Because he's invested that money. Again, he's gone all in. This is the risky part. He's gone all in just oil. The oil sector. I think it was 2 ETFs, right? 2 ETFs, I believe, that were fully just oil companies. So he must have just thought, okay, you know what? The world, yes, we're trying to move towards green energy and lithium batteries and everybody and all them different things there, yeah? But I still feel like we're fully reliant on oil. And we're going to be more and more reliant upon it in the near future. So he's gone all in. Because of what's happened during this war and how the stocks have shot up like crazy, yeah, plus what's happened since, well, prior to that, from 2020, his overall investment of about £50,000 has gone up to £1 million. £1 million. Why am I saying this? I'm not saying this so that you go and jump into oil. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying put your money into, no. I'm saying, though, that there are things going on in the world outside of your control, like war, like governments printing money, that you don't have to be a sitting duck, fully exposed to their decision making. You can benefit from it. You can. You know what I'm saying? You can own the world. You can own the world. You can invest in companies all around the world. You can just do enough so that your money that you put into stocks and shares does not erode due to inflation. I quoted John Maynard Keynes, I think, maybe the opening show on the Beacon on the Post, where he simply said, and I'm somewhat paraphrasing here, that governments, by means of inflation, can confiscate unobservedly a substantial part of the wealth of its citizens. That's insane. They can unobservedly confiscate stealthily the wealth of its citizens just by printing money. This is what happens with inflation. This is what happens. You know what I'm saying? Big up God. He says, I would love to invest in African businesses, but due to family members getting burnt, there's lack of transparency and infrastructure to make it happen smoothly. I've been put off, but still looking for options. Big up, man, as long as you haven't given up. Because like you're saying, it is risky. It is risky. Every investment carries risk. But I think if you're not investing at all, and I know this is not the case for Goddess, right? But if you're somebody who's just not investing at all, you're not risking your money. You're losing your money. It's not a risk at that point. It's a guaranteed loss. Every year there's inflation figures. That means every year that percentage of value is being lost from your money. You know what I'm saying? So bear that in mind. But again, I say all of this stuff to say, if it is that we are unhappy with the West investing in Africa, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? Is it time that we start to do it? that we start to look into it. And I mentioned Dangote because Dangote said, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially his messaging is such that he's saying, listen, this is my refinery, completely private, but I want to do the IPO thing. I want to do the initial public offering. I want to sell about 15, I believe it's like 15 to 20% of my company. I want to offer that up as shares. But I'm going to do it in Africa. Some people are saying, though, big up Moses, he's saying, yo, apparently it's going to be on the London Stock Exchange. So people here in England and I guess parts of the West can invest here on the LSE, right? But he's saying the messaging is clear that he wants Africans. It's going to be on the stock exchange in Ghana, in Ethiopia, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Kenya, right? Of course, like, they're still growing, but he's putting it there. He's doing that so that people can invest. People can invest and benefit. Don't get me wrong. Of course, he benefits too. And this is what people need to understand about stock market. It's just a tool. It's an amazing technology for everyday people to invest in companies so that the companies can grow. And when they grow and they have returns, you get some. But it shows your belief in that company. So if it is that Dangote has gone through all the hurdles, and the thing is here, African people, we already know the amount of hurdles. We can only imagine the type of hurdles this man's gone through to take his oil refinery company from just an idea to where it is now, where it's running in Nigeria. Oh my goodness. You know what I'm saying? Like it will take somebody like him who's got that connection, that power, that infrastructure, that money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for him to be able to do that and say, listen, I want to prioritize Africans here. I feel like, again, it's not financial advice. It might be, it's something I think we should look into. We should all look into, because then you're actually actively investing in Africa, in a company that is doing things in Africa, a company on the world stage. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we need more of. And I feel like with time, we will start to become more confident in what Africa can achieve. You know what I'm saying? And apparently the dividends you get in dollars. You get the dividends in dollars. This is what I'm hearing. So you're not subject to the fluctuations of weak currencies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that, apparently. Goddess says on the LSE, yeah, I'm on it. Any more details and dates? I don't have any more dates. All I'm hearing is soon. All I'm hearing is soon. As soon as I know, I'm letting everybody know. You know what I'm saying? TDA, the Post, everybody. We need to know. You know what I'm saying? Not financial advice. It's just me saying this is a potential opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And again, on TDA, big up TDA. I hope everyone is tuned into TDA. If you've stumbled across the Pulse TMB and you don't know what TDA is, it's our flagship show on the New Black Powerhouse Network, broadcast of the year, you understand? And we stream live every single morning from 8:15 to 10:30. And our first headline today was Dangote basically saying, it's believed that he's saying he wants to build another refinery, but in East Africa. So we've got one in the west of Africa, and he wants to start in East Africa. These are power moves, man. These are power moves. And let me tell you for free, if you don't invest in companies like Dangote's company and other up-and-coming African companies, other people will. And when I say other people, I say other for a reason, other people, as in non-Africans will. Please do not be mistaken. Do not be mistaken. That's what will happen. That's what is happening. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be mindful of these things. Are we going to complain about the West pouring money into Africa because they want to get a return? Because that's what you do with investment. It's not a racist thing. It's just a thing. It's just normal, right? Are we going to complain about that? Or are we going to say, okay, cool, we're going to do it too? Again, we're pouring, or we're sending, I should say, $50 billion every year to Nigeria, man. Okay. We're sending $50 billion every year to Nigeria, guys. $50 billion. every year. What's that gone to? So imagine that was a bit more coordinated. I'm not trying to say that we're all going to think the same and we'll all pull up. I'm not talking about some fairy tales now, guys. I'm just saying a bit more coordinated, where it doesn't just go to frivolous things, but it goes to infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? We've got an amazing caller on the line. Big up Moses. Good morning, man. What are you saying to me?
Yo,
How are
big you
you?
up, my bro.
How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man.
Good.
You
Glad
good?
to hear it. I'm all right, man. We thank God, man.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're touching on this topic. As you know, I've been following what's going on in
Indeed.
Niger for a little while now.
Yep.
And I have to say, obviously, I'm very impressed with the development that's been happening over there. I know a lot of people still have a lot of negative things to say about Nigeria, but listen, it's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
And that's something that we need to kind of internalize, that what we've seen of Nigeria and Africa on a whole will not change overnight. So even some radical change in leadership would not change what we're seeing over there. And I think speaking of leadership, just looking at this story that you played at the beginning of the show, where you have Macron saying they've got X amount of billions for Kenya.
Yeah.
I mean, those two nations have been doing bilateral trade for God knows how long now. And what we have to do, I think, is base our logic in reality, or the way we think about things in reality. At the end of the day, the leaders of these nations are going to do what they are going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to do business with who it is that they choose to do business with. And I think if trade routes were open within Africa, amongst African nations, yeah, they would use them. But the reality is they're not really open like that. They're not really open like that. And so there's no point of looking at leadership and saying, oh, you know, look, no, I'm not saying that we can't debate politics. We should debate politics, and we should encourage people to vote where they can. But I think investing is the way that we vote with our money. I think we need to start voting with our money. And I think if we can invest in Africa, take the risk. I know it is risky. If we can take the risk to invest, then we can start to build some capital and then start to build what we would like to see in those nations ourselves. And I know that's probably a little bit of a fairy tale, because some of us might feel like we're so far off from even the possibility of building a school or fixing a road, you know, in our mum or dad's hometown. But listen, the opportunity to invest, like the ability to invest right now, it's never been like this before. Nigeria is blowing up for fintech.
Yeah.
Fintech
Oh my
industry
goodness.
over there is huge.
Yep.
You've got you've got exchanges popping up. You've got exchanges like Bamboo that's popping up, and other Nigerian exchanges. You can obviously, you need to have a bank account in Nigeria to take part. But if you're a diasporan that has 2 passports and can get a bank account sorted next time you go to visit a country, get it sorted. They want investment. They need investment. And as you're rightly saying, bro, if you don't take it, people from other nationalities will take it.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Nigeria is rich in lithium deposits. It's obviously, as you know, rich in crude. You know, you've got the Dangote refinery. This guy's offering 10% of his refinery now to Africans, and I've heard that it might be available on the London Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
I think this is the way to do it. The way Dangote is doing it is the way it should be. It's the way to do it. We need a businessman, not a radical, not somebody who's going to frighten people into some sort of SAS mission. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you've got another revolutionary who's gone and all his work is just being divvied up by whoever's left behind. We need somebody who is a businessman who can say, okay, we're doing things on our own terms, but we'll be fair to you guys as well. And also, I think there's a great story, just a final point. I think this is a great opportunity for Nigeria right now. We know about the situation in the Middle East. And in many ways, that refinery, that single train refinery, which is the largest in the world, by the way, which is the largest in the world, processing 650,000 barrels of crude a day.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
So right now, the world needs it. You know what I'm saying? Right now,
The world. Exactly.
the world needs it. I think I heard him saying that they'll be the largest fertilizer producer in the world. Again,
And that's another arm
fertilizer
of his
is
co- of
another,
his business, isn't it?
yes, yeah, exactly. And it's another commodity that is in short supply right now
Yeah.
because of what's going on in the Strait.
Yeah.
So again, Dangote's refinery can supply this. Not to talk of LNG, helium. So the world needs it. This guy's got it, and he's offering you a chance to invest. Even if it is a risk, let's take the risk. Right? Let's take the risk. Okay, and let's develop some capital and then make changes. Look, people are buying up land. Investment is coming. They want investment, not only to, and it's not just about filling their coffers. Don't get me wrong. I know that those guys are, yeah. But it's not just about filling their coffers. It's also about stabilizing the currency,
Yeah. Yeah.
stabilizing the naira. You know.
But
So
I was just gonna say, but even if
Yeah.
it is a situation where these businessmen are, you know what I'm saying, like just taking huge profits and all that sort of stuff, like why do we always focus, or at least why do we sometimes focus too much on how much the individual who started up the company, founders, CEOs are taking from the company, if that particular company is giving goods and services that otherwise would never have been given if they didn't exist, especially in Africa. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you just mentioned the fact that this is a fully dependent, right, oil refinery in terms of the world. The world is fully dependent, I should say, on this refinery. Fully dependent on the fertilizer. But two things that have been crazily impacted because of this war in the Middle East. If this didn't exist, Africa will be suffering along with Europe. I keep trying to stress to people that we've not fully felt the ramifications of this war in Iran, you know. Like we're still a lot of us are still being protected by energy caps.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're still being protected by it. So I'm telling people, be prepared to be spending more on your gas and electricity come July. You're going to find out about how much that cap is going to go up at the end of May. Let's see if this government can do
Food as
something.
well.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So you've got a company that is helping out with the fertilizer, helping out with regards to the oil, helping out with all the things that Moses just mentioned. Like, it's such an amazing position to be in. And to give away, not give away, but you get what I'm trying to say, to offer, you're saying 10%. I've heard like 15 to 20%, you know.
The one that I've heard most is 10%,
10%.
but nobody knows at the moment. It's all a bit. We know that the IPO is coming because he said it himself. Dangote is said it himself.
Okay.
But some of the numbers and figures are still to be decided, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and confirmed.
Have you got an answer
But
to
you know, to
question,
answer
though,
your
Moses?
question, I think. Say that again.
Yeah, you were just about to do it. Go on. Thank you.
I think to answer your question, it's a very, actually, you know, it's a great question that you ask. And if you ask it from the perspective of being in this country, where people are concerned about profits, obviously people will be concerned about profiteering that's going on, like what happened around COVID time. Or even now with Shell reporting the other day that they took 5 billion in profits in the oil.
Yeah.
Is that right? Should you be doing that when you know that there's a supply shock coming, right? Shouldn't the government be doing something about that to ensure that there's some sort of cushion between us and this supply shock? Okay, I get that. That's one thing. The other thing is, if we're talking about Nigeria, great things are happening, but there's two sides to this coin. On the other side of the coin is the people on the ground that are suffering greatly from the inflation that's taken place there. So you often get people, like I had a friend of mine that was saying to me, oh, if I had money like Dangote, you know, they've got enough money to feed the whole of Africa, to do all of this in Africa. I said, listen, you can't get around constitutional laws. You know, that's number one. Yeah. Where does that come into it? If this guy wants to do certain things, he has to go through certain times. He has to go through the government first. Also, if you want long-lasting, sustainable change, I believe that enterprise is the way that you can achieve that. And the reason why I say that is because enterprise will continue generating income. Whereas if you just give the money away, you might feed someone for a day and that's the end of it.
Exactly, 100%. So
your question is, you asked it in one sentence, but it's multifaceted and it depends on who's saying what they're saying. The guy on the ground in Nigeria is going to say, what use is this to me? The price of petrol has more than quadrupled since they ended subsidies over there. Food has gone up, you know. But for us, if we're looking at it from a UK perspective, this is a fantastic opportunity because of the exchange rate. You know, so I'm not looking at Dangote like he's greedy. He's a greedy capitalist. I'm looking at him as somebody who's changing things over there and providing an opportunity for me in the diaspora to own a piece of the land that my parents came from, so that I can also help to make a change, whilst improving the legacy of my own family. But you ask the guy on the ground, it's a different story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess it depends on who you're talking to, and it depends on where they're coming from. You know what I mean? I hope I've answered your question, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, I do want to ask more so something along the lines of if it is that there's this disparity between people on the ground and what they're feeling, or and how they're living on day to day, and those of us out here who are pretty much supporting or in support of people like Dangote. How do we kind of close that gap and heal that rift? And is that any of our like roles? Is that the government's role though? You know what I'm saying? Because
it's the government's role.
Okay, because that feeds into the question of whose job is it? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so you're saying it's the government.
It's 100% down to the government. Tinubu did the right thing by ending subsidies over there. Subsidies were causing massive inflation and, believe it or not, fuel shortages. So while fuel was cheap, it was also running dry. You know, because the guys that were at the border saying that they were importing oil were actually declaring more oil than what was coming through through the gates.
Imagine.
So they were being paid a lot more than what they should have been paid for. So ending the subsidy and of the subsidies, the part of the cause of another what how can I say, the byproduct of the subsidies was the parallel market that you had with the exchange rate, where you go to the central bank or you go to banks in Nigeria to exchange for dollars, you get one rate, and then on the street somewhere in the black market you've got a completely different rate.
Completely different.
And those people, that rate on the street was a much higher, because they knew that the banks didn't have enough dollars to supply you. So when they ran out of dollars, you had nowhere else to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ending the subsidies and then floating the naira was good for the country and good for investors. It was good for investors to see, to look at it and say, okay, you know, what's going on? But I was speaking to a friend the other day, and he said he thinks it was too much too quickly.
Okay.
And two people have said this to me separately, that what Tinubu's done is great for the country, but it's also increased the divide between the have and the have-nots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this is two separate conversations. And these are people that go there regularly, and they've seen it happening. You know what I mean? And then you've also got tax reforms on top of that, yada yada yada. It's the government's job to sort it out. But I think, and I don't know how, but I think that with time, progressively, things will catch up. The people on the ground will catch up. And actually, the way that happens is through industrialization. It's through job creation.
Yeah.
You know, that is what is happening at the moment. You've got the refinery there. We've also got talks of, I read an article yesterday about licenses being given to power suppliers in Lagos. Power is a completely different topic. As you know, over there, you know, they experience blackouts. It's got better over the years.
Yeah.
But they do experience blackouts. And constitutionally, and this is the other thing, constitutionally, it was difficult for, if a president was looking into solving this issue, constitutionally, it was a mess to get through.
Yep.
So, you know, you think because someone's in power, they can just flick the switch and do something. But as you know, Nigeria is an amalgamation.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of different factions. So everybody has a say. And that say is written into a constitution that you can't just circumvent.
Yeah.
So what Tinubu has managed to do, I believe it was under his tenure, is he's managed to break it up so that in Nigeria now, each state can be responsible for their supply of power. So Lagos now has issued 14 licenses to power suppliers to supply the state of Lagos. In the near future, Lagos, not Nigeria, depending on how state actors get their act together, Lagos might have 24/7 power. This will be a catalyst the catalyst for industrialization.
Yeah.
Industrialization creates jobs. Jobs will balance out inflation. Right?
Yep.
So, jobs will decrease that gap between the have and the have-nots. You start to have more of a middle class now, more job creation. So this is what I think will do it, but it's on the government to get it done, right? Like I said, it's from a constitutional level, it's taken some time for them to get the constitution to a point where it's like, okay, now each state can take care of their own power supply.
And
you know what I mean? Somebody, if I'm not correct on this, please, somebody let me know. But this is what I was reading. And now that can happen, that means that people that rely on it, people that own print shops, people that own any kind of factory, people that can have expertise in factories you can guarantee I can set up my factory here and it'll be operational 24/7.
Yeah.
If I need it to be. That creates jobs.
So you agree?
You know what I'm saying? So
guys, so you agree with a more devolved government where a lot of the powers are, you know, localized. Because that's it's funny you mentioned it, because that's similar to what somebody like Andy Burnham wants. You know what I'm saying? Like here in the UK, where a lot of cities and boroughs, local authorities have more power and can actually control the destiny of their residents. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just relying on Westminster to make every single decision. And I guess in Nigeria, that same sort of thing would be what you're saying, isn't it? Where those states who want particular things can actually put money into particular things and get the things, or at least be closer to getting those things than ever before, rather than having to listen to some nonsense constitution that prevents me from doing it because of how many votes there are in the north. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or in the east somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where
Right.
people live completely different lives.
Yeah. I do believe in devolving of the power from the federal government down to state level, down to local level. It's interesting that you bring this up though, because there's certain aspects of institution over there that is federalized. So for example, like the energy and policing. Everything else though, I'm not going to say everything else, but a lot of things can be managed on a state level.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about some issues that Nigeria has, some of these issues could have been resolved on a state level anyway.
So
The issue of education, the issues of schooling, it's for the state to take care of. They get their money and it's
Yeah.
for the state to take care of. But everyone will point the finger at who the president is and saying you're not taking care of it.
That right there is a big fact. That makes me even think back to even before independence. One of my favorite guys was a gentleman by the name of Obafemi Awolowo, yeah, and he was the
Yes.
first premier of the Western region. So just a bit,
AG,
you understand?
Action
it's
Group,
an
yeah.
Action Group, exactly. So
Yeah.
for people who don't know, do a bit of research on the Action Group. Yeah, that was the political party that basically represented the Western region, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
Just to simplify things, yeah. You had different political parties that emerged from different regions of Nigeria, and and the AG Action Group pretty much was the Western region. But Awolowo was an economist.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? And again, this
Yes.
is why I always go back to economics, because he understood that a hungry man is an angry man. You got to deal with economics first. You have to. And because of how things were back then, where he was able to control certain things in the way you're pretty much saying, right? Having that devolved government, right? This is before independence. This is before 1960. He was the premier from like 54 to 1960 and tried to become the president. He was able to give the Western region of Nigeria, i.e. Yoruba land region. Oh, I'm being a bit somehow with what I'm saying, but basically the Western region, yeah. They had TV. They had TV before France, right? They had TV before France. They had the Africa's first TV station. They had, if I'm not mistaken, the equivalent of like cinema. They had free education. People were coming from different, exactly what Moses is saying right now.
Yeah.
Where the state can be responsible for all these things. It was happening before independence in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But because of how things were, you get independence, you have a president, you have a prime minister, and that's being led by other. I'm not even trying to be divisive here, but the reality on the ground was what it was. You know what I'm saying? You had Zeke from the right. You know what I'm saying? When I say not from the right, he was on the right of Nigeria, basically the east.
The east, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I said the right, but yeah. And then the north, you had Balewa. You know what I'm saying? Who was the first president, right? Or first prime minister, but really was controlled by Ahmadu Bello, the guy who's financing everything. So these are people who don't know how to run countries. They have their agendas, religious, which is tied to their religion, tied to their way of life, culturally, their ethnicity, and they're trying to control things that are happening hundreds of miles away that they don't understand. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you start going forward now, you get issues. Hence, you have the Civil War, you have all these things that come afterwards. But prior to that, when you had the Western region, you had the Eastern region, right? You're able to have that power to do things for yourself, for your people. And there was so much progression in the Western region. There's so many politicians today. Well, maybe not today because a lot of them would be old or dead now. but have spoken out talking about how much they benefited from the free education that occurred in the Western region.
Yeah.
We need to have that, and we need to exercise it. But I say all that though, Moses, to say, does that maybe speak to how bad things are potentially in Nigeria, where if you're saying they still have the capacity to do these things and they're not doing it, that the issue is basically replete throughout every bloody state, then. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think that's a question for time to tell. Because I don't live over there, I can't tell you what's improved in this area versus that area. I know that a lot of people are still, like I said, overall, generally, the average Nigerian is suffering, right? The average Nigerian is struggling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In spite of all the wealth that is going around in that country. But I think it's one for time to tell. There's an election coming up. You've got a lot of the states. I think APC, which is Tinubu's party, has now managed to gain majority seats in about 30 something of the 36 states, maybe 32 of the 36 states. The opposition parties are, I don't know what they're doing. They're fighting amongst themselves. That's Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, and you got Atiku.
Who's been trying for the longest while. Atiku is there.
Yeah, Atiku's been going for about 20 years trying to be the president. But now that they've split, that divides the vote. So I think really it will go. I think Tinubu will take it again.
Oh, definitely.
I think he will.
Definitely.
I don't know, but I think he will. And I think if he does, because he's somebody that I think he believes in the evolving of power. You know, he's shown it with this move with the electricity. He's shown it. He believes in it, you know. So I think they will continue in that vein. And then you can look at your state governor, which has always been the case. But you can look at your state governor for things like energy and things like policing on top of everything else, education, transportation, and then the economic development of, you know, your state as well. So I think it's important that that happens and that it does continue in that vein. But at the moment, it's clearly there's still a lot of issues regarding this. You know, there's still a lot of issues regarding it. But look, I think overall, my point is, if you want to see change in something, I think you can do it with your cash.
Yes.
You can do it by investing.
Yes.
That's what I think. It's hard to invest in Africa.
Yeah.
If like, for example, if you want to buy land and start a farm, you got to be over there.
Yeah.
You can't do it from a distance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think now, like I was saying earlier, I think there's a lot of opportunities to invest in companies that are there. I think with the Kenya-France situation, I agree. I think, again, you played the clip and Ruto was talking about the UN Council or Security Council. We don't know. I think in these situations we need to follow the money. I think you've got to follow the money. What is that 20-something billion actually for?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where's it going? You know, they said it's going to create 250,000 jobs, which is great. Because right now, I was just reading, from the bilateral trade between France and Kenya, it only gives them 36,000 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell? All that money?
Yeah. There you go.
36,000 jobs? Okay, I don't know, innit? I'm not an economist. But, you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah, 100%.
So 250,000 jobs, how is that split?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. We need to know the ratio.
How is that split?
We need to know the ratio because that's still just France versus Africa.
Right. And job creation, again, helps to provide a better living for people.
Yeah.
So is that job creation more for France or is it for Kenya? You know what I mean? Is it an equal split? You know? So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I do think that we just have to take the opportunities where they come.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, as the people that are sitting in a country like the UK, sitting in the UK, or sitting in England, or sitting wherever we are, and we have to. If we can't move to these countries physically and get started because we're not there yet financially, then we have to take our opportunities where they come, and that is through investment. It's not going to be about saying, I don't know if I trust this guy or that guy, because the reality is, that guy is going to do what Ruto is going to do what he's going to do. If he's taken a few mil off the top of that 25 billion, what are you going to do about it? He's done it. But what you can do is invest in something that is, invest in a company that is going to generate a return off of these new business deals and grow your own capital.
Yeah.
And then keep doing that. And then eventually you can get to the point where you build something of your own.
This is it.
That's my thinking.
No,
I don't know if I'm, you know what I mean? That's just my
100%.
thinking.
And I 100% agree with you. I think people need to understand what investing is. And I think once people do, I think some of the problem in communication and how we understand risk and things of that nature will start to go. You know what I'm saying? And then you start to think, okay, cool, where should I then put this money? If I want returns on this, if I want to secure my future, or at least better have a better chance of having a better future for me and my loved ones, I must do this. This is mandatory, so therefore, where do I do it? It's not necessarily why or if, it becomes a where and when. When do I start? You know what I'm saying? So I think more education needs to go into it. And I think, like you also said, it is difficult to invest in Africa, especially if you're going to take money back there and try and, like you said, using your example, buy a farm. You know what I'm saying? You want to start farming catfish. You want to start harvesting and doing pineapple. Like, sometimes you need to be on the ground. You need to be on the ground.
You know
what I'm saying? But that's the beauty of the stock market. You know what I'm saying? The fact you don't have to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We're all, if you're investing, you're all, depending on what you invest in, but the likelihood is you're investing to some degree in Amazon, in the S&P 500. You're investing in these companies and you've never been there. You've never been there, but you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? You're getting dividends potentially, or it's being accumulated with time. Same sort of principle needs to occur. We need to give Africa a chance. We need to give Africa a chance. I may have got my figures wrong earlier when I said $50 billion is sent over annually remittances to Nigeria, but what I'm seeing here is it's about 25 billion. So still roughly the same amount of money that Macron is basically making Africa sign a deal for. We as Nigerians, now listen to what I'm saying, Moses, and everybody. I didn't say Africa. I did not say Africa. I said Nigerians are sending annually, just Nigerians, to over $25 billion in remittances. In remittances. This is just money that just goes to normal stuff. This is non-commercial stuff. This is household goods and daily living stuff. Essential stuff, but still. Do you get what I'm saying? But look at the amount of money that is. Like, if some of that money was coordinated, if maybe we can I don't know, top it up a bit. And whatever it is, just come to some sort of arrangement where we understand everyone individually and collectively to some degree. When I say collectively, it doesn't need to be all the 10, 20 million of us Nigerians outside of Nigeria. I'm just talking about amongst your friends. You know what I'm saying? That we put it into particular things. Because it needs infrastructure. It being Nigeria, it being every African country, Africa as a whole, it needs infrastructure. And if we don't provide the infrastructure, it will be the Chinese who will. It will be the French. It will be other people. And then we will then, in the same breath, say people like Dangote are bad people. We'll then start saying, oh, he's in cahoots with the government. He's a bad guy. And or the president is a bad guy. And my friend, what do you think that Jeff Bezos and all these other guys are doing? Are they not in cahoots? Are they not making deals and having conversations with whichever leader is incumbent to make sure their company grows? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, are we holding Africa to a different standard? Or are we just ignorant of what happens behind closed doors? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, long story short, because we do have to wrap up in a minute.
Yeah, you get what Tesla does in the US, right?
Exactly.
They get a lot of government funding
Yeah. Yeah.
to continue their operations in the country. It's like, again, that's exactly what you're describing there,
Yeah.
where there's deals being made between somebody, a private entity, and the government, right, to produce something for the country. And so the government essentially is giving money to the company.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
And deregulating, you know, to allow for whatever it is that deregulate. Do you know what I mean? Just to provide the opportunity for the company to thrive.
Exactly.
You know, because it's aligned with, I guess, the government's policies or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so but that's it. It's I think in some cases we do hold. My point is, in some cases we do hold African nations to a different standard. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I think, look, I agree with what you're saying. The point about
Should we?
Should we?
Should we be holding our brothers and sisters abroad to a different standard, given everything that we have been subjected to?
Can the people hear you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I had that question.
What was the last part?
Sorry, there are other people.
Should we be holding them to a different standard?
Given.
Yeah. Good morning, Miri.
Good morning.
You can join the conversation now. Sorry, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I said, I mean, we have to, because if we're being honest, never mind.
Mirad, you still there? Okay. Mirad's busy. He'll be back, guys. So, Brent, please repeat your question.
Sorry. Wow.
Should we be holding them to a different standard, seeing as we have a storied history? There's more involved than just pounds and pence, isn't it?
Okay. So, should we be holding them being us as Africans back home, them being the government?
Well, essentially, you were saying that we could turn around and be like, look at Dangote, look at the wickedness he's doing, but yet everybody else is doing it. You have Tesla doing it. So, shouldn't we expect more, or hold them to a higher standard? Don't let us be those who you exploit. Do you understand?
See, the thing is, though, I know obviously you were just, compressing everything I said, right? But just to be clear, I'm not saying people are doing wickedness. I'm not saying that go to do any wickedness. I'm just saying that there's certain things that occur amongst businessmen, especially the most prominent and most powerful and influential businessmen and government leaders. It happens here. It happens when any big company leader, CEO, whatever, founder, starts speaking to a Labour leader, starts speaking to a Tory leader. You know what I'm saying? Backs whatever party they want. You know what I'm saying? Same thing occurred when we saw the formation of Doge. You know what I'm saying? Like Moses pretty much saying with Tesla and how they were in bed, or probably still are to some degree, with Trump. Same thing. Again, I'm not saying Dangote is. I'm just saying that's what happens though when you have considerable amounts of influence. To me, I just see this as normal. I think for me, my thing is, will these things continue? And if it will continue and we have an issue with it, are we doing anything to stop it? Because I don't see why you need to get upset about the fact that people are having business dealings, which is something that makes sense. If any of you owned a company that was worth £10 billion, right, you are going to get people asking you for funding. And you will obviously be in a position where you can fund certain things that you subscribe to. You're going to do it. If you're a Christian, you might say, okay, cool. You know what? Let me fund more Christian organizations. Let me fund more churches. You know what I'm saying? Like, if one of the leaders you find out is a Christian, you might sit down and resonate with him. He might say, okay, cool, do this. You know what I'm saying? Do you mind doing this? And I promise that we'll, give more tax benefits to charities, which Christian churches, institutions will benefit from. I just give that as a small example of certain conversations that occur. And to me, I do think sometimes we hold Africa to a different standard, but I don't necessarily think it's because of anything nefarious. I think it's more so just ignorance, I think we assume corruption is occurring. We're saying corruption is occurring, but we forget about the corruption that may also occur here. I think that's what the issue is. You know what I'm saying? And also, a lot of us have personally experienced loss. You know what I'm saying? Or some sort of, you know what I'm saying, being fleeced in some capacity. You know? When you know certain things could be done easily or easier, they still want to try and extort you, get money out of you. But they won't necessarily have the same energy for a European or an Arab-looking person from the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? So we have this sort of relationship with Africa and how things are going. But I think we have to change that because capitalism is here. It's been here for hundreds of years and it's not going anywhere. Because it's not, at least the way I view it is, and I think people should start seeing it anyway, but everyone has their own prerogative. It's not just some, I don't know, some machine that is just moving around the world trying to do things. It's just an economic way of, economic school of thought, which is natural to human beings or has become natural to human beings, where people believe in private ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone utilizes the word mine on a day to day. And I think sometimes you have to break it down to that level. Mine. This is mine. Why is it yours? When you came to the world, did you have it? Do you know what I'm saying? But along the way, you've acquired it and you now say it's yours. What do you do with that particular thing?
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there wasn't colonialization, would there be capitalism as we see it today?
Just in the world?
Yeah.
Of course there would. Of course there would.
What the same type of capitalism?
It might not be the same.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
No,
Because
but you have to be.
we talk about the present day, right? Because some people say it's intrinsically linked with colonialism.
I know that's what people say. I don't agree. If you say again, there's different ways of saying. This is why people need to be specific about certain things. If people are saying this is intrinsically linked because there has been exploitation, right? And you're saying people go over there using via exploitative means, take ownership of things, and further the divide, then of course, okay, fine. If that's your definition of capitalism, but if we're looking at capitalism for what it is, and we look at socialism for what it is, you know what I'm saying? And actually look at it from an economic school of thought and not put bias into it. Remove the human being and look at the tool. Then I think people should understand that a lot of the principles have been there since the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? Not all, of course not, because as human beings, we develop different things so that we can grow, so that we can invest, so that we can further civilizations. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to make sure and clip this up and then tag Basayo because we need to hurry up and get it started. Because a show with both of you all on it, talking about or addressing these particular issues would be far more beneficial, I believe, to the community than just a one-way dialogue. Yeah, that's this part, not the stuff that you were talking about before.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, I would love to sit down with my sister Busai, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I guess for me, maybe some people might see me as being idealistic to some degree, but I tend to compartmentalize and separate the human being from the tool. You know what I'm saying? The most basic example is a gun in a good person's hand is going to be something that helps you, protects you, man. You know what I'm saying? In a bad person's hand, you're going to get a lot of oppression. But the tool ain't doing nothing if it's not touched by a human being. Intention comes into it. And then we have to look at how effective the means are, the medium that we're using to develop our respective communities and nations. You know what I'm saying? Am I saying capitalism has not been bad, has not been utilized for bad? Oh my goodness, of course it has. Of course it has. Without doubt. To this day. You know what I'm saying? But we who have different agendas and different intentions, we have to utilize it in this world. Unless you're going to be super radical and just, you know what I'm saying, lack of a better word, carpet bomb the entire system. Unless you're going to move like Traore and say, I'm taking everything back, I'm taking full control, and we're rebuilding from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Then that's different. So, I don't know, it's a tough one. I think, Moses, you were going to say something before.
Well, I was listening to the guy that came on before,
Oh, Murad.
He was about to say something.
Mm.
I do think capitalism would be different in the sense that it would be fairer.
Mm.
Definitely, it would 100% be fairer.
Yeah, I agree with
If
that.
you didn't have a situation where people could exploit the land and get what they want from there for very, very cheap, then you wouldn't have these massive marginal differences
Yeah.
Through to production and when they're selling their finished product.
Yeah, that's true.
If things had remained the same, it would just be fairer. It would be like, all right, I'll give you this for that, and both parties are happy. I think capitalism would 100% still exist. It would just be a much fairer trade. That's what I think.
But maybe
And
that again.
on the question of should we hold governments in African states to a higher standard? It's a great question, man. It's a great question. I think in many ways, or to a different extent, I think in many ways, politics is. I don't know enough about politics to answer that question, to be honest, man. Let me just sit back on that. But in many ways, I don't think it's fair, because I think the environment is completely different. Look how old Nigeria is. Nigeria is what, 60-something years old.
Yeah.
This is a young nation.
Yeah.
You know, this is a young nation that was infiltrated by external factors and people and their influence. It was a country that was put together with people from different ethnic backgrounds and different languages and different religious beliefs. It was so easy for from an outsider to manipulate and exploit that. And what you have there is you have people coming from that place that are rising up through all of this turmoil into positions of power. How do you think that's going to play out in their mind? How do you think certain people would behave in those situations? And even if somebody does want to do the right thing, you've got so much chaos around you, you might end up getting offed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So oftentimes people come into power. Tinubu, as a president, is the most experienced governor that the country's had.
That's a fact. But some people say, what does that matter? Because he destroyed a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but people will say that again. But my point is, that goes back to my point. They say he destroyed a lot. I'm not sure what they're talking about when they say he destroyed a lot, and I'm not refuting that either. Yeah. But again, I heard a guy saying it the other day in the barbershop. I've got no problem with Tinubu, but you're old, Baba. Go and sit down. You had all this time to go to change something. You didn't do it. Sorry, what? You want somebody who's a governor, who's sitting at the back there, to come in and make these kind of changes in the country, where you have people, the real Jagabans sitting at the table. I mean, the real president and his fellow men sitting at the table, breaking bread. You want this guy to come and say something to them so he can get his head blown off. You just have to wait your time sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you're in a different environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm not saying that was exactly the case, because I haven't followed his career that extensively. But what I'm saying is the environment is different.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier Awolowo. When the whole Operation Wettier was happening, I don't know if we've seen anything like that in modern times like that, apart from in places where politics can get out of hand like that, where people are being murdered and there's real beef between factions of the government. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Factions
of the government. I don't know if that was happening in the UK in the 60s. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, where 100%. You're coming up in a real war zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think sometimes we have to take all of that into context and set our expectations and applaud where somebody does something that is, oh, you know what, that was really,
Exactly.
that was really unexpected.
Yeah.
The fact that you built a school, that was well done, mate.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
on,
true.
keep going like that if you can, please.
That's true.
Because understandably, even though the people should matter, lives are at stake. You get what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I think, you know, it's difficult to say, oh, you know, they should be doing, you should be doing, yeah, they should be doing more, but is it possible
Yeah.
in the environment that you're in?
Yeah. Well,
Great point. Great point.
is that Mirad?
Please.
Okay, talk to us, man. Good afternoon. How are you?
Sorry, it was wet play as soon as the kids kids. So I jumped on. Yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like, the gentleman before me just said my point. I was going to answer Brent's question. I was going to simply say, well, if we accept that, children, if we accept that Africa has one hand but tied behind its back, yeah, in terms of politically and in terms of how the West they still owe, quote unquote, owe money to the West when they shouldn't be paying, then we have to accept that the leaders back home are not in the same. They don't have the same headspace to use that money as the way we want it to be used. Does that make sense?
Say that again. You keep kind of cutting out a bit. You know?
Oh, they don't. The leaders back home don't have the same freedom to use the money in the way that they would like to use the money for the country. You know, we've heard about corrupted leaders. We've heard about you know, money being put into infrastructure and then gone missing, or nothing's been done about it. Nothing's been done about the works. So we have to hold them to a different standard because they're not on the same. They're not on the same playing field.
Where does that start and stop though? Because we know that there's certain leaders who have just done a madness. Many people are kind of on different sides of the argument when it comes to somebody like General Sani Abacha, yeah. But when you find out that there's billions in a Swiss bank account,
Is there context to this man you just mentioned?
Yeah. So Sani Abacha was the president of Nigeria. He basically took over Nigeria in a coup. This was like early 90s. He locked up Abiola. So you remember Sankara Gate? Yeah, our good brother there, Kashi. His father, was Abiola. So he was locked up when he won the elections, right? So, but Babangida annulled the whole thing. Said, nope, we're not going with this decision. And subsequently, he was locked up, all that sort of stuff. Abacha took over, and he ran the country. Long story short, basically, after he was killed, right? After he was killed, this was some years after. Some people don't know how.
By who exactly?
So some people don't know. Like, we don't officially know. All we know is that apparently he spent a night with certain prostitutes and certain things occurred or whatever, and heart failure and all that sort of stuff. But people obviously say, no, this was an inside job. Sorry, not an inside job. This was the West. Like, they couldn't control him, certain things, and they orchestrated his death in the same way they orchestrated Abiola's death, right? Different rumors.
Yeah, same way they orchestrated military coups as well.
Thank you. Exactly, right? But I mentioned him just to say that he took over, like every leader eventually does when they take over. They say to the public, we're going to change things. We're going to do things for the better. But yet there was 5 billion or so in a personal Swiss account. So I'm trying to say this. What I'm trying to say is, where does this start and stop in terms of the amount of grace we give our African leaders? Because some of them come in there, they try to do a noble job, and yes, their hands are tied. Some of them come in there and say, yo, I'm just going to continue the same crap. You know what I'm saying? How do you ascertain which one you give grace to?
It's very difficult because even the ones who come in and say, you know what, I'm just going to pocket what I can, are probably doing it from a place, not all of them, but they're probably doing it from a place of, there's nothing I can do here. My hands are tied anyway.
Then why be in that
get with the program?
Why be in that position if you can't do anything?
Because just like for any other African, it's a way out. It's a way out of poverty for their family. If I can get to become president or prime minister or leader of of my nation, I get a chance for my family and my generations to come out of poverty.
I think that's a cop out.
You know that whole crabs in the bucket mentality?
I think that's a bit of a cop
It
out.
applies. It applies there.
The
No, it does. It does.
the reason why I'm saying that is only because to be able to be considered for president, you've got money. You've got money. You've got money. You think Peter Obi in Nigeria, who's trying to be president, is poor or anywhere near poor? Successful businessman.
But we're talking
Atiku,
about
same thing.
Yeah, we're talking about elite. We're talking about this is not there's having money to be able to be considered as, you know, a leader or prime minister or whatever it is, and then there's prime minister, president money. The generational wealth that you create from being elected as a leader of your nation. Yeah, poverty. You ain't seen that again.
But
It will take a foolish descendant to screw up all that generational wealth.
100%. It may change. Don't get me wrong. It may change from country to country in Africa. But just using African Nigerian leaders as an example,
Yes.
rich doesn't even properly describe how much money they have. The wealth is insane. None of these people are wanted for anything at all. Their families are sorted. I don't think it's nice. Don't get me wrong. You can always want more, right? You can always want more.
So then, Iman, isn't the issue we're looking at here is that these people are worried about the prospect of losing it. They have this stuff because of the positions that they hold, or the what's the word I'm looking for? The narrative that they uphold, the support that they get from the West or from certain benefactors outside of their country. To change the way they approach things could mean to change or lose that support. Is that another way to look at it?
I mean, yeah, but I guess if you're thinking about these things, then you're not fit to lead the country.
In that case, I guess no one is.
No, some people are. This is why some people put their lives on the line. Do you get what I'm saying? And like you kind of know the nature of the position that you're stepping into. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'll mention it before we come off of the thingy, but apparently there's news that's come out that Wes Streeton is basically preparing to resign. Yeah, so we know what that means. As soon as he resigns, he's going to trigger the leadership contest, and we're going to see what's going to happen, right? But I say that to say this: he's not trying to be the PM and thinking, yo, I potentially could I have to give my life for this role. There's nothing of the sort will come into his head. But in Africa, you have to be mindful of these particular things. So my thing is, if that's part of your job description to some degree, it shouldn't be. But because of where Africa is, because of, like you said, we've seen so many times they orchestrate military coups to get rid of people that do not fit the program, right? That's going to be something that you have to think about. And if it is that you are not okay with that, then I don't think you should be stepping into that role. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, granted, this might be a bit of an extreme example, but Captain Traore, he knew, he knew when I step into this role, people are going to come for me. And that's been the case. 20 plus.
Listen, more power to him. However, you have to consider that approach. How far will he get with it in terms of what he's trying to achieve? And how quickly will he meet resistance in the form of the West, in the form of his own people, whether there's his own people who are worried about, the whole fear of the unknown. Yeah. It's like the country's set in this manner. This is how we are. This is our relations with the world, with the rest of the world. To take us out of that and step into an unknown, there might be people of his own nation who fear it. There might be people who disagree with him because they already got the support from, the West and everything else. So you can go down this sort of approach because I believe in it. I love it. More power to him, like I said. However, there always has to be a sacrificial lamb. And what will happen from his regime will be interesting to see how it impacts how future leaders conduct themselves or how future nations relate back to the West. It's a make or break, put it that way.
I hear you. Thank you for that contribution. I was just going to say, Mel says you have to have a dictator mentality to get far. 4 or 5 years isn't enough to make meaningful changes. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but equally, you could go back against that and say, well, if you have uncertainty about the dictator, you could be stuck in a 30-year cycle with no progress.
Yeah, but are you trying to, I don't know, go into it negatively, thinking nothing's gonna happen in 30 years? I guess a lot of people just know that it's gonna take time, innit? Like so many plans. I mean, it happens even in America. Like how many presidents go in there and only have one term? Bear them win the second term. You know what I'm saying? Trump was an exception the first time, obviously when he lost that other time. What's the other American guy? I can't remember. He passed away a few years ago. The Christian guy, I can't remember his name. He had one term. Huh?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like bare people, you need 2 terms. You know what I'm saying? At least this is what we've kind of conditioned.
Africa needs someone who can survive for 400 years. If you find a good person that can make the changes, you need that person in charge for like 4 centuries, at least, to reverse. And even then, you might not achieve even half of what needs to be done.
Yeah,
that's why I agree with the whole dictatorship. You stand there for long. My country's got someone who some people consider to be a dictator. Some people say he's actually, he's doing great for the country. I'm not too far knowledgeable about it to know whether he's a dictator or not. I just know I'll do a damn better job. Put it that way.
Okay, I hear you. Z's.
Christy's also on the line.
Oh, come on,
Yo.
Christy. Big up, Christy. Z's. Before we bring in Christy quickly, what's your thoughts on that? Do you feel like I don't know, a country like Nigeria would benefit from military rule right now, where a dictator comes in, secures the near future, and says, "Yo, I am not moving until we sort things out." Does a Captain Traore, or at least attempts to?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I can see where someone might make the argument for that, and in a way, this is why I want Tinubu to get another term as well, because there's no guarantee that if any of these other guys come in, that they're going to continue in this trajectory.
Yeah.
Right? That the country's on right now. And although things are bad, things are improving. Things are being set in place. For example, subsidies for many years was meant to be removed. This guy removed it.
Yeah.
For many years, there's a road from, is it Sokoto? Down to Lagos that was meant to be built. This guy's building it. Yeah, we're talking about a place up in the north.
All the way
the
down.
north has so much arable land.
Yeah.
Right? I heard Peter Obi say that, that Nigeria can make more money from agriculture than they do oil if they get their act together in agriculture. Part of the reason why they even amalgamated the country in the first place was because they weren't able to get things out of the north easily.
Yeah.
So this road going from the north down to the south, where the ports are, is going to be important. I don't want to see somebody come in and then we have to wait another 10 years for these things to be finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on one hand, I can see why one might make the argument and say, just like even now you could say with APC having so many states, having the 30, I think it's 32 out of 36 states. Some correct me if I'm wrong. That this is kind of dictatorship disguised as democracy, right? With so many governors defecting from their parties to APC. There was an argument recently about one party in Nigeria. Nobody wants it. We want democracy. At the same time, I don't want Atiku or Obi to get in there and then now, you know what I mean? Like things don't continue in the same vein. So no, I don't. I think military rule's too extreme, but I do think people need their 2 terms to see through what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and I think someone like Tinubu needs these. If it wasn't, they started the refinery when 2015. This guy had to fight. Tinubu came in, working alongside him, made sure that it happened. Now we're talking about power being generated in the country. This is under Tinubu's tenure. Give him another term. Let's see how it goes. Honestly, I don't know how it's gonna go with these other guys. Do you know what I mean? That unknown, there's too much of an unknown for me. You know. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you for that, Ziz. Appreciate it.
No worries,
Christy,
bro.
what's your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I have many thoughts, but just picking up from what Moses said, when he brought up the points about stuff being in state level hands, like education and no, sorry, not education. Sorry, education's on state level or federal level. Who handles that? Federal, isn't it?
What, education?
Yeah.
No, I think Ziz was saying it was state level.
State level. Okay, yes. So yes, so things like education, things that state level can handle, they're not even doing that. And I think the problem I find is the average mentality of Nigerians is of take. So they're not really like, when these state governors come into play, they kind of bred them from a level of going in there with a mentality to get mines and get out. So they're not even on the state level. They're not even thinking about the people in their own states. It's just so I can be bred to be a politician, to gain access to the wealth that just even at a state level gives me. And that's that. And then when it comes to re-election times, they will pop out their heads and bring bags of rice. I put it in the comment section. Bring bags of rice, pretend like they're doing something charitable. Oh, here's bags. They have a bribery fund when it comes to election time. They have a fund for these things because they know this is how we're going to get the people. Earmark them funds for this specific thing. Trawl out bags of rice, trawl out oil and all these stupidness. Get them, and then they come in by virtue of that, and nothing gets done. And again, it's just a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. I agree that people should more focus on the state levels than I guess Tinubu overall. But then at the same time, the problem is I feel like the state levels is of a symptom of a bigger issue, which is the president. Because of the presidents that we've had, and just the legacy of presidencies that we've had, this has bred what is even going on state level.
I mean,
so I don't know that I don't know that I can really give grace to because if we're talking about they've got one hand by the back, which and they 100% do, and then when you come in, you look at the lay of the land, and you're like, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of things tied up. When you get there, you will find that this is bigger than me. This is bigger than me. But my issue is individuals going in there with a mindset of, because as an individual, it's hard for you to do anything. But I feel like as a collective, if we're having a collective mindset that, okay, we can
Yo. Okay.